Hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Honey Apple Farm. It's going to be a short episode today because I went to the Mother Earth News Fair last weekend and did not take a single video. I did take a few pictures. So I wanted to give you an update because the Mother Earth News Fair was amazing and it was our first time there. So this is going to be a quick recap of what we learned and also what we're doing with that information. So for those of you who don't know, Mother Earth News has been around since the 70s, and they have a magazine, they have a website, they have a line of books. They do a lot about growing your own food, homesteading, processing your own meat, a lot of off-grid living as well. And they have a fair where they bring together speakers and you can go and listen to presentations on various topics. So we went to the one in Kansas City, which was the last weekend in April, and it's the first time we've ever been to any kind, actually, of homesteading conference, and our first time at the Mother Earth News Fair, and it was fabulous. We got a duplex on Airbnb that was literally a 5-minute walk from the fairgrounds. There were not as many people at the fair as we were expecting, which was great for us. A lot of the sessions I was in, there were maybe a dozen people in the audience, so it was very easy to go up and talk to the presenters. We had some great presenters, some not so great presenters, some really fabulous experiences. I mean, you guys, I could talk for probably half an hour at least about all the fun things that happen, but I want to keep this short because it's a talking head video and y'all probably aren't interested in all the minute details. The upshot of it is Peter and I went to the fair with a lot of different ideas about what we want Honey Apple Farm to be. We had, dozens of things we could do with this future property. And what we came away with from the fair is actually a pretty narrow focus. Peter wants to keep bees and sell honey as a business, perhaps honey-related products like beeswax. We might make home bath products and things out of the beeswax, or we might sell the beeswax. We definitely want to make mead for ourselves and perhaps as a sellable item. So honey is one side of the Honey Apple Farm that we want to do for income. And the other side of that we want to do is seed or nut oils and or butters. So there was a presenter whose book I've had on my list for ages since it came out last fall, I think, on how to make your own nut and seed oils at home. It is not difficult. It involves a $200 hand cranked machine and raw materials. And I have a bunch of sunflower seeds from last fall actually that I will probably use as my test product at some point in the future. And that feels very exciting to me because especially if we grow our own sunflowers. I love sunflowers. They're gorgeous. They're easy to grow. They don't require a lot of maintenance and they're fairly easy to harvest as well. And the seeds store very well. So those are the two things that we'd like to do for income off the property. And, in the future, if we want to add other lines of income from that long list of ideas, we certainly can, but that's not the focus or would not be the focus for the first probably 3 or 5 years. And then in addition to those two lines of commercial adventures, we also want to have a woodlot to manage, mostly for our own enjoyment and use. And then, of course, the house with a garden of whatever size we want it to be that's just for us. We have absolutely no interest in growing vegetables and things for sale. So with that narrow focus, which is awesome, what we have been talking about since the weekend, I am actually, as you guys can see, I'm in a different location than I normally am. I'm actually out in the Pacific Northwest right now. I got on a plane on Monday, the day after the fair. And so Peter and I have been thinking about our experiences at the fair. And one of the things we're talking about now is what do we want to do in the next 3 years to make this dream a reality? The truth is we're not going to be able to leave Tulsa this fall, which was the original plan. We're probably not even going to be able to leave Tulsa next fall. Getting laid off from my full-time job definitely put a kink in the financial future. And although I have just been certified as a legal transcriptionist and passed my training, the learning curve to get good at it and efficient at it is still quite steep. So what Peter and I are talking about now is taking all these two foci, the beekeeping and the oil and butter business from seeds or nuts, not dairy, and thinking about what we want to do with that in the next 3 years in Tulsa, 2 or 3 years in Tulsa. What skills do we need to learn? Can we start either of those businesses in Tulsa? How viable would that be? And also, if we're going to be in Tulsa for a couple more years, we need some plans to be more involved in the Rochester area, Rochester, New York area, which is where we hope to move to and start making some connections and probably make some trips up there and do some on the ground scouting. It's one thing to watch a lot of things on realtor.com and another thing to actually go and drive around. And it's a pretty wide metro area that we've been looking at. So that's what's going on now. I could go on and on and on and on about the different presenters that we saw, but I really want to give Bevan Cohen a shout out. His book on how to press seed and nut oils is waiting for me when I get home. And I also want to give Matt Stevens a shout out. He did a really great talk on agritourism, but more importantly, let me pick his brain for about half an hour. And the other really cool thing from the fair was that we got to do a seed swap. Not really a swap. They had a bunch of seeds that some companies had donated, and I came back home with a handful of new seeds, most of which I don't have room to plant this year, but we will in the future. So it was an incredibly successful weekend. If you guys want to know more about my fair experience, please leave a comment below, and I'll maybe answer them in a future video if there's enough, or reach out to me and we can have a chat privately about all the things I learned this weekend, because my head is very, very full. So I hope you guys are having a great Cinco de Mayo wherever you are. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll be back next week. Peter says the garden at home has grown crazily in the last several days, and we're supposed to have weather up in the 90s next week, so I should be able to bring you guys a new garden tour next week and show you how much everything has grown in 2 weeks. So take care, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye for now.